Oh my lord, it's been so long since I've done any of this. I forgot how much stuff needs to be updated. I was having a hell of a time with the fucking this thumbnail. I worked hard for that shit. That it crashed, corrupted. I had to redo. I worked hard for that. Appreciate it, please. I forgot shit that needs to be updated, so we had to update that last minute. I am on a timer. I have something to do very soon. But lo and behold, here we are with a video that I've been planning on trying to do for ages, like months. I think I started the script for this last quarter. So when I say recently, just know that this was recent as of the winter. But we have a video. We have a thing. I didn't like, again, things that like my brain completely forgot need to be updated. Themes don't have themes. They will be in the description down below, but we do not have those today for us right now. But you know what we do have? You know what I did fix up for you last fucking minute? We have morning announcements. Morning announcements. I need a song. I need to like figure out how to get a song going for that. Morning announcements. In case you didn't know, I write books. My books are available for free on itchio.com, firestorm23433.itch.io. It's not .com. Why did I say .com? All of my books, except for like some backlog things, are up there, but the full Queen of Thieves series is up there. Imani and Aaliyah's Fashion Bible's up there. My short YA romance is up there, all for free, or pay what you like if you want to. But yeah, those books are up there, and I do have more books. I may have been falling behind in terms of YouTube, but oh my lord, I'm on top of it with books. I've got books coming for you this year. I've got books, more books, because I also did have another project that I uploaded to Itch that's all over there, including the song that I did. Is yeah. Some other things that we want to share: Al-Abbasia community kitchen. I'm learning Arabic. I'll be able to say that right at some point. We've got links. Those are going to be linked down below. All of this stuff is going to be linked down below. The Al-Abbasia community kitchen, that's linked down below. That is a community kitchen helping to feed people in Sudan. GoFundMe's for people in crisis areas, as well as links to some non-Zionist graphic design programs. We've got Snappa, which is basically a clone of Canva, because Canva was removing content by Students for Justice in Palestine. And Canva has also raised money for several Israeli venture capital firms. So that Canva is a Zionist org. A lot of people don't know that. But Snappa is basically the exact same thing as Canva. I switched out of online ones entirely because, oh my god, getting my assets, my resources, my shit out of these online sites is a pain in the ass. So I just want all my files on my computer. Like, honestly, I can do with not being able to work on things everywhere I go. I have other projects I can work on when I'm out away from my computer. I just need to know my shit is my shit and I can hold on to it. So the next three are open source programs, and they are all desktop based. I've got Sozi, which is what I use to make this little presentation, which I adore to death. I have Inkscape, which is what I use for graphic design. So that's what I use to visually put together this presentation. It is also what I use to make my thumbnails. And then I have Krita, which is what I used for all of my illustration, which there are illustrations like in these pages. Any of the illustrations in these pages are done with Krita. All of my book covers, no, that's a lie. I use Inkscape for like the Queen of Thieves and graphically designed book covers, but I use Krita for hand-drawn ones. And Krita is also available on Android, which is where I use it the most, because again, that's something that I can do when I'm away from my computer. And finally, our final announcements. Oh no, it didn't update. No, I mean, I'll read this one, but I'll also read out for you the like update that I made. We condemn the war crimes and acts of terror of the United States, the breach of Venezuelan sovereignty, the invasion of Venezuelan soil, the killing of Venezuelan civilians, the destruction of Venezuelan medical research facility, and the kidnapping of a Venezuelan head of state. And then our current one was we condemn the violence and warmongering of the terrorist states known as Israel and the United States, and we also will not allow reactionary politics to convince us that choosing between multiple flavors of fascism is in any way, shape, or form democracy or freedom. I'll try and remember how to make sure that's up to date eventually. But that's the morning announcements. That's morning announcements. I can close this entire web browser now. Yeah, I'll look into that. But now, revolutionary reflections. Let's have some fun. God, I'm just tired. I'm tired. That's the reflection, actually. It's just that I'm tired as shit. Introduction. I work a contracting job. And that means I do not work at the same place every day. And for my job in particular, I only return to a job site about once a year. Recently, at least, again, winter, when I started this, recently, I was at the job where I first read a piece about the 2024 US presidential election that allowed me to feel some amount of political validation. I thought it would be nice to spend some time reflecting on my political growth in the past year, though it feels like it's been so much longer, and at this point it's been a little bit longer. Let's go. A hard line at anti-capitalism. I fully believe that my time is better spent fighting politically than it is spent marketing. I fully believe that if nobody's free till we're all free, then I won't be free to create till people are free to invest in art. So I made my books free and even delisted them from Amazon. I do not aspire to different forms of capital or commodity-based systems like barter and trade. I aspire to a world in which everyone is taken care of because we have the capacity to do so, just not the heart to do it. I've also been including Venezuelan communes and Black Panthers in my obsessive nonfiction studies. I'm slowly regaining interest in fiction again, though this last fucking book, it's annoying. I swear I'll get to some of these backlog reviews so that way I can get to this next review. Some bullshit. It's gonna start a fight with academics and the rest of the management class. It's great. We love it. The way people discover, next topic, the way people discover their media says a lot about their ability to engage with politics. This is a very interesting assessment that I've been coming to understand. I've talked before, maybe not on here, but on my blog, noordinaryscholar.com. I've talked before about the responsibility we have to resist the urge to only look at what centralized media powers present to us, because then they have control on how you perceive the people and the culture. Seeking indie platforms was one way I practiced this, but I also practiced this by looking into creatives I was consuming or considering engaging with their work. I set a base standard for the media that I was engaging with of the creators have to have spoken out about genocide and also can't be dick riding serial abusers. Added that last part because some people really don't understand what bare minimum means, and that is not even a full step above bare minimum. I always thought these things were important, especially for me as someone, like a lot of my books reference music and stuff, so I don't feel good sharing a fucking Zionist in there. I don't feel good sharing someone who's going to be featured on a serial abuser's track, like every other album. Like, I don't feel good about that. These things were always important to me, but it was also a lot of labor. So I was very sympathetic to the fact that people couldn't bring themselves to commit to that. But after watching so many people who spent years calling out the blatant lies from big news outlets, then turn around and start quoting, parroting even, those same outlets as they demonize Venezuela, Iran, and Arabs that voted with a conscience, I can no longer sympathize with those not doing the work to resist centralization. My sympathy must go to the people they're harming. In the grand scheme of things, casual media is the easy part. It's names you already know, posts that are likely in your language, and it does not require completely relearning history. If they can't or won't build the skills involved in drawing these lines here, how can they be trusted to put in that work when they have the full arm of the imperial system against them? This reflects so many poisonous aspects of the social structure within the West. The US left's stance when it comes to voting, this disastrous idea that politicians are not meant to be criticized or critiqued. They are there to represent your team colors, regardless of what policy decisions they make. You vote blue no matter who. It reflects the nostalgia filter people have with past revolutionary movements that has kept us at square one for centuries, and even people's reactions to abusers within their own communities, families, and friend groups. This absolute allergy to accountability, even in the simple form of don't give this random ass stranger your attention because they'll abuse the power that comes with it, is a symptom of a massive problem that has been holding us all back. Next, if trickle-down economics didn't work, then neither will trickle-down equality. I think this is the result of a whole host of things. The power structure we have dehumanizing you and devaluing you to the point where people forget what actual agency is. The US never looking anything like a democracy, so the progress people are looking towards still puts the power in someone else's hands. The "it's not people, it's systems" idea being applied too broadly and erasing the very substantial role we each play in the systems of culture and our communities. Like when people say you are the 5 people you spend the most time with, that is a social system. But continuing, I digress. People seem to think that if the state says, let there be equality, then that's just going to change the world on a dime. But the reality is change does not come from the top down, it comes from the bottom up. You could have a more free society within your community, within your block, in spite of whatever the state's doing. Discrimination has been unconstitutional in the United States for a while now, yet we still have to make separate law that you can't discriminate against someone for their hair, that you can't discriminate against people for their name, that colleges have to actively work to not discriminate, and believe it or not, discrimination is still rampant within this nation. So when we see stuff like people resisting their role and holding others accountable in very superficial ways, it's hilarious that they expect us to have faith in them to hold people accountable in the ways that are foundational to what a free society actually looks like. Like I saw someone say, oh, I listen to Jay-Z every single day. I have every single album of his. I'll never stop listening to him. But I can acknowledge that he's a slimy ass man. And people were praising that as the realistic way to make progress. Reminds me of that bit that was going around of a guy hanging out with his platonic girlfriend. One of his homies starts flirting with her, and when she asks if she should consider dating him, her friend lists all of the ways that man abuses and uses women and how traumatized she'd be if she dated him. But he's still my dog though. Like, it's pitiful at this point. What amount of work are they actually willing to do? When are they going to start living by the values they say they have? They can't pick a different book. They can't pick a different song. They can't cover their mouths. People dead ass want to continue only looking at what someone else has put directly in front of them and call that enough, or worse, call it revolutionary. And it has been such a relief on my spirit to stop expecting more of them, frankly. If everyone had the capacity to do the work to free us, we'd be free. For a lot of people, the uncertainty of what exactly will save us is scarier than the reality that continuing as we have will certainly destroy us. So it is super important to understand the limitations people are explicitly saying they have if you are ever going to find others that will help you actually build something. Let me get a drink. Because I'm tired. Okay. The death of the value of people's word. Words don't mean shit. Anyone can call themselves a leftist. There's no accountability to hold them to any form of values. Everything keeps coming back to fucking accountability, which is non-existent. And there's no accountability to hold them to any form of values. So literally anyone seeking to give themselves the political good boy name can and will call themselves a leftist. I've met leftists who said global warming hasn't actually harmed people. I've met leftists who listened to music by literal Nazis, but felt like constantly acknowledging that those musicians are Nazis while still listening to them is totally okay. I've met leftists who say there's no such thing as genocide because as long as there's 1 or 2 people of that race still existing, then it's not a genocide, so we should stop getting so upset about it. I've met leftists who voted for Kamala and said she was the only option to vote for. Then when she lost, were saying, well, I guess I shouldn't have voted for her. That would have been the real leftist thing to do. I have met an infinite amount of leftists who have described the lists of tasks, actions, and stances that do contribute towards equality, freedom, and resistance, but they will then give you an essay as to why they shouldn't have to do any of that because they're the exception to any harm they cause. Labels tell me nothing of someone's actual values, beliefs, and whether they can be counted on when shit gets real. Intersectionality still be beating people's ass. Like, it's embarrassing. I've endured some pretty pathetic examples of this, specifically from white disabled people in COVID cautious spaces over the past year. White marginalized folks are so prone to be infested with whiteness, but being high risk for COVID myself, it's very apparent amongst the general US population right now. It is also very apparent with regards to international politics. And it's pissing me off with BIPOC folk. Like, it is exhausting watching people claim that covering their mouth is too much to ask for the sake of protecting community and equal access to spaces, but then turn around and ask white people for reparations, asking them to give up their power and possessions. No, beloved, you are setting the bar of what will be tolerated in the name of equality. If you are not willing to raise your standards, why on earth would people who actually have something to gain from oppressing do so instead? You've confirmed that it is okay to stand on other people in the pursuit of your better life. That does mean other people will step on you too. Just exhausting. Okay. The definition of power. God, I'm not halfway through. What did I do? The definition of power. So recently, I read the essay And Shine Swam On an Afterword by Larry Neal, and this was an insight that I find to be very important. It is explicitly referring to Black power, though I do think that this can be applied to popular power in general. He states that Black power is defined by what you're moved to do. I'm just gonna correct the typo. By that understanding, I would say modern Black power and the power of the US people on a national level is defined as begging. The people are moved to beg for validation, relief, and reparations from the hands that are beating them. The people are moved to beg because they fetishize the system to the point where they only validate change once it has come through the system. This has led to a very wilted national level political endurance that not only causes movements to be quickly demobilized by small wins, or even by simple promises from politicians, but it has also led to people becoming guard dogs for the system against critique, challenge, or resistance because they are listening. If you don't fall in line, you're going to ruin all our hard work. This wilted political endurance is what has defined the 2020s. Oh, they named the street Black Lives Matter Avenue. We're making progress as all police budgets increase and the president donates money to cops in George Floyd's name. COVID is another very big example of this. People were receiving guaranteed income checks. Job loads were reduced. Healthcare was more accessible. The environment was literally healing. Everyone stopped thinking of those things, all for the sake of creature comforts like bars and sports events. But, oh, we'll get a Democrat to promise to fight for Medicare. I just know it. But at the same time, this makes sense. The national level is not where the fight will start, and CNN won't notify us that the revolution is coming and that this time we're going to win. This idea that when things get bad enough, the people will come together to protect each other feels like it contributes to that behavior of waiting for a big enough bandwagon, waiting for a sign that you're guaranteed to win and won't have to risk your position in the system as it is in order to fight it. Waiting till this mythical everyone revolts because everyone has to agree for it to be the right thing to do, and if everyone's doing it, you can't personally receive consequences. It feels tied to this myth of hegemony that has allowed the current two-party system to decay the way it has. The people dehumanizes us, makes us an amorphous blob of us, and maybe that's why it's so popular. Because in the U.S., either you are a singled-out hero, a singled-out extremist, or the people. And if you don't want the real or perceived consequences of being an extremist, and you don't know if you'll be the savior, then you're supposed to be protected by the obscurity of the people. So maybe it's the fact that the U.S. is never in its... Or maybe it's the fact that the U.S. has never in its lifetime looked like a democracy. I think I'll do a blog post. I don't need to do a full video on that one. So people expect their role in evolution to look like the unplugged controller they're handed in this nation. That they should just have to show up and pick A or B. There's so much to be said about the national level consciousness in the US and how defanged the people are, but the real takeaway should be to look inward, look closer, look to community work, people who can know and care about you, people you can hold accountable and hold up, and don't be swayed by the picture of the nation because it does not define us. And on that note, the hegemony. Hegemony is a prison in a cage. We'll never know if I want to say hegemony or hegemony. One of the two. I will either do a full piece on this topic alone or just say bits and scraps till it gets annoying. But this is something that stemmed from my disillusionment with centralized media, culture, education, and more. It is also something that has poisoned and destroyed our political landscape and made it impossible for a lot of people to perceive the reality and complexities around them because they are too convinced of the myth that there are only two sides. It has destroyed the arts, boxing out anything that veers from the standardized while self-relating to maintain its prestige. It has turned experimentation and diversity into a lottery and competition, restricting us all in the end. It has silenced millions, insisting on single correct answers and upholding a single perspective in the meantime. It has weakened spirits, making people too insecure to work on their own because numbers are given value and one is too lonely to be right. Refusal to engage in politics that does not aim to destroy imperialists. I'm pretty sure I've said this on my blog before, but you may well have not done any freedom work if you have not assessed, evaluated, and addressed the many, many ways that people will need to be free of you. If you live in the US and you are neither a prisoner nor a person that the state considers to be an illegal alien, I am looking at you. I have leaned more into my commitment to resisting the oppression built into the way we interact with language. Grammar being used as anything other than a way to interpret spoken communication is white supremacist and imperialist. I've been more and more resistant to value systems based on grammar overall. I feel particularly inclined to do so as a writer and a reader. I've been seeking more indie work that does not crave the validation of correct grammar or proper editing, both of which directly contribute to historical systemic barriers. I've been seeking out work from ESL writers, primarily ones that don't seek official translation or editing. I've been seeking out more work outside of English. I've also been working on more projects not in English that I do not intend to translate into English. I am working on projects in dialects of English that reject standardized English as a home point, and will start doing the same on my blog as well. I also just found a blog series that seems to be about the oppression inherent in translation. I'm really excited about that blog. I'm really excited. And a short aside, this is really the shit that will piss me off. Like, does it piss you off when folks will read something, praise all of its messages, and then continue to be the villain of that story? Because seriously, some people really need to take Babel off of their favorites list because it went in one ear out the other. I am building spaces away from white folks. I'm centering my work around foundational strength that comes from communities rooted in unwavering values. This is what's come out of a lot of the reading about the communes, Steve Biko, and the Panthers, but really it's just validating the feelings I've had towards the pissants that will say any form of fight for equality that does not center them is dividing the group. I didn't mention it at the beginning, but like I started this project I started writing this directly after I discovered womanism, and this, which is we love it's you'll see this is, I align very much with the pillars of womanism. But yeah, this shit I won't entertain it anymore. And over the past year, I've been the most at peace when making decisions in alignment with my values. I feel I've been able to find the path that I need to be on in my life by staying true to my values. And I have no intention of giving up this feeling because some random piece of shit can't use me for their own gain. And that brings us to, if I have to water down my values to keep someone in my life, they're about to traumatize me. It is not an if, it is a when. Resist the idea that ideation and actualization have to come from the same being. Da Vinci ideated the helicopter but did not build it. I did not come up with the Trash Magic Manifesto, and yet is something I really want to try and actualize in my community, though there are so many other projects that I would actually be rather more efficient on that I have to do first. I intend to share haphazardly thought up ideas for a hot food distribution system that I couldn't even dream of actualizing because maybe someone else can. Resist the individualistic habit of holding on to things solely for the purpose of ensuring you're the one to receive praise and acknowledgement. Share them to see how the world builds it. We'll be talking about this more and the systems of abuse that have made this kind of behavior feel like a form of protection in the hot food distribution post whenever that comes to light. Also would be on blog. And finalmente, just say it again. Another lesson learned from the Venezuelan communes is romanticism, the respect and critical reflection of the past to see how it can weave into our present struggles. I think the thing that I felt most strongly amongst all of my work in the past year is validation. Reading things from African American literary theory and finally feeling like someone gets it, even though these are from well before I was born. But this book is also 700 pages long. This book is absolutely not digestible for a lot of people. Should I be worried that my rants and ramblings are something that someone could read in this academic text? Should I stay silent out of fear of not saying something completely brand new? No, for many reasons. Firstly, language barriers are not just an issue of different full languages. Remember when I brought up dialects earlier? Someone may understand me better than they understand Langston Hughes. But also, in trying to find something that we feel is so unique, it doesn't touch any history that someone could have said before, we're actively erasing the foundations of our movements. We are not learning lessons from our history, we are losing the recipes. Romanticism is about honoring and connecting with that which has come before us, finding and taking what is useful and building off of it. Don't be afraid that you're just saying something over again, because if that struggle still persists, then the work isn't done yet. Those ideas are not complete yet. And if you think that is important to remember as we go forward, then say it again so the people don't forget. I'm tired, and I have so many other things to do and to work on. I believe what we're gonna do in terms of just, I'm gonna go over just a couple updates here at the end. I believe what we're gonna end up doing in terms of like book stuff, book reviews, I believe I'm gonna do Parable, and then we're just gonna skip straight into the book that I just read. I was watching God because I hated it, and I have probably a 40-minute to an hour long speech about all of the issues I have with it. Namely, like the issues mainly stem from the fact that I found out about that book because someone said it helped them, it defined love for them, and that's a problem. That's a problem. I have a video on the oppression within language and media, how that applies to media literacy. That's another one that's off the fucking rails. That one's already off the rails trying to write that. It's a mess. Do I have any other videos in particular? Like, I have like a list of long form videos, but like I'm obviously not working on all of them at once. Stream. We're figuring out if I want to stream or if I want to record, but I do have a stream that I want to do, Grief in Perspective streams, which will be just a space to read works that help us process and embrace grief whilst also not losing perspective of the fight that we are actually in because of how people will prey on and manipulate you whilst you are dealing with grief. And then yeah, like I said, books are coming out, books are happening. But yeah, that is pretty much all that I've got going on to talk about right now. I hope I can get some of these other videos out soon. This coming quarter would be nice if I could get the Parable of the Sower video out this quarter. That'd be awesome, but who knows. So until next time, thank you for watching, and until next time, valedictions, friends.